European Union delegation to Namibia and its member states represents the European Union, or EU, a unique economic and political union covering a large part of Europe, established when the Maastricht Treaty came into force on the 1st of November 1993, with the aim of uniting European countries economically and politically to secure lasting peace between them. The EU's goals across Europe are to promote peace, the well-being of its citizens, freedom, security, justice, sustainable development, economic growth, employment creation, social progress, and environmental protection. Other goals include combating social exclusion and discrimination, promoting scientific and technological progress, enhancing economic, social, and territorial cohesion and solidarity among members, respecting cultural diversity, and establishing an economic and monetary union with the euro as currency. The European Union is the world's biggest exporter of manufactured goods and services, and the biggest import market for over 100 countries. Beyond its borders, the EU is committed to liberalizing world trade. The EU also assists victims of man-made and natural disasters, supporting over 120 million people each year, and plays an important role in diplomacy, working to foster stability, security and prosperity, democracy, fundamental freedoms, and the rule of law at global level. In Africa, the EU and its member states are the continent's biggest aid and trade partner, providing approximately €20 billion annually in development aid through programs implemented at continental, regional, and national level, and accounting for 33% of total trade in goods, exports and imports worth €270.8 billion in 2018.
My name is Sinikka Antila. I'm the European Union Ambassador to Namibia. Welcome to Europe House. Europe House is the headquarters of European Union delegation to Namibia, here in Windhoek, the capital of Namibia.
The main political priorities of the European Commission, globally represented by about 1,540 delegations and offices, are climate change, in line with the EU Green Deal, a set of policy initiatives aimed at reducing carbon pollution, digitalization, as well as data technology, and promoting good governance and peace and security. These are important areas for the delegation of the European Union to Namibia as well for the next 3 to 4 years.
European Union is an economic and political union of 27 member countries. We enhance peace, stability and prosperity. We do it internally and globally. Here in Namibia, we also support stability here. We support sustainable development, inclusive growth, biodiversity, fight against climate change. And we do all this, including enhancing all European Union policies, values, interests here. We do it in close cooperation with the European Union member state embassies here in Namibia. EU member states are all committed and bound by the founding treaties of the European Union. And then we have binding laws binding all of the member states. We make decisions together. And like in foreign affairs policy, defense policy, we do unanimous decisions. And we work the European Union institutions work very closely with European Union member states. Like here in Namibia, we always try to look for synergies. What is done by the European Commission, what is done by different member states here to complement each other's support. We do this in development, and the European Development Fund is at the moment the most important instrument, and member states contribute directly to European Development Fund. We've done that for instance, we have looked for these synergies, for instance, in our support to COVID-19 response to Namibia. And we worked very closely with the member states.
In the late 1980s, the EU supported preparations for Namibia's independence in collaboration with the United Nations. The day after Namibia's independence, the EU, at the time the European Community, established intergovernmental relations with Namibia. And on the 22nd of February 1991, the EU opened its delegation in Namibia. Post-independence support from the European Union saw investment in, amongst others, the upgrading of both the Trans-Kalahari and Trans-Caprivi highways, important arterial roads for both national and international connectivity.
European Union delegation offices were opened here quite immediately after the independence, so we have long experience. We work in political affairs, we work in development, we do trade and humanitarian aid, all the variety of issues. We also support natural resources, climate change, conservancies, and of course in the human rights area, fight against gender-based violence, and generally also enhancing democratic development.
The EU and its member states cooperates with Namibia politically with regular dialogue on issues of mutual interest and concern, through development cooperation and economic and trade collaboration. In Namibia, the European Union member states represented are Germany, France, Spain, Portugal, and Finland. Through the #Team Europe approach, the EU and member states show solidarity to partner countries and combine collective development resources of the EU, member states, and their development financing institutions to collectively address some of the most pressing development needs of Namibia. The EU and member states identified investing in foundational skills and inclusive green growth as two flagship initiatives in this respect. EU's cooperation efforts in Namibia focuses on two priority areas.
At the moment, on development side, we have two focal sectors: education, and especially early childhood development. There we are providing budget support to support education sector here, and then the other focal sector is livestock development in the northern communal areas to support and strengthen the effectiveness of that sector and the resilience of the farmers there. We collaborate closely with Germany in supporting vocational training. Together with Germany, we support the vocational training centers, and especially the electronic training in three centers in Valompola, Enhala and Nakayale.
Namibia also benefits from thematic budget lines that support social protection systems and civil society via instruments such as the European Instrument for Democracy and Human Rights. Other areas of support in Namibia therefore also includes Enhanced Community-Based Natural Resource Management, or CBNRM, sector governance, climate change, human rights and democracy, gender, and cultural collaboration. The EU's main aim is to assist Namibia in implementing its national development plans and the Sustainable Development Goals, to reduce poverty and invest in human resource development. Apart from the cooperation program agreed on with the government, there are other instruments and budget lines from which Namibia also benefits. For example, the European Investment Bank, which provides concessional loan financing, support to regional programs via the Southern African Development Community, and scholarship programs such as the Erasmus Mundus. Similarly, support is extended via calls for proposals in areas such as renewable energy and strengthening capacities of local authorities. An example of this is that Namibia benefits from the Cross-Regional Wildlife Conservation Program in Eastern and Southern Africa, as well as in the Indian Ocean, where the EU is investing around €30 million to counter the illegal killing and trafficking in wildlife.
At the moment, we are busy preparing programming for two initiatives. First, inclusive green growth, and secondly, creating the foundational skills in education. And we do this in close dialogue with, of course, the government of Namibia, with the European Union member states here, with civil society and the private sector. We want to have a very inclusive initiative. So this will be then for the forthcoming years, 2021 to 27.
A main focal area of EU cooperation in Namibia relates to education, such as support to early childhood development, or ECD, amounting to €24 million. A major achievement under the education program was the launch of the National Early Childhood Development Campaign in September 2019, under the motto, Right Start, make your child's first steps the right steps. It had the participation of the three key ministries of Education, Health and Gender, the EU, UNICEF and Interteam Swiss. The aim of the campaign is to raise awareness on the importance of ECD, and it will target parents, caregivers, teachers, decision makers and the community. The EU delegation to Namibia and its member states also focuses on agriculture, notably in the livestock sector in Namibia's northern communal areas. The aim is to create growth while also addressing issues of poverty and unemployment. Here, the EU supports the Ministry of Agriculture and all stakeholders in improving the performance of the livestock sector in the northern communal areas from the supply and demand side, and to promote the resilience of local farmers with specific focus on improving livestock production systems and resilience to climate change, increased access to domestic, regional and international markets, and implementation of animal disease management. The total amount of EU funding to this program is €20 million. The EU and Germany have also jointly funded a $248 million Namibian communal land development project aimed at enhancing agricultural production and economic growth. As a result, one success story was the setting up of a butchery by America's Farmers Co-op in the north near Akahau. The promotion, trade and investment, or economic cooperation, is another important pillar of collaboration. The Economic Partnership Agreement, or EPA, of which Namibia is a signatory, are trade and development agreements between the EU and the African, Caribbean and Pacific, or ACP countries that facilitate these countries' integration into the world economy through trade liberalization and improved trade-related cooperation. Support to the EPA implementation plan in Namibia amounts to €6 million. This support is expected to directly enhance Namibia's access to export markets by improving the government capacity to manage international trade agreements. It will also raise awareness of private sector operators on the potential benefits from this agreement, together with the quality and scope of public service delivery in the areas of sanitary and phytosanitary issues, technical barriers to trade, and quality control and certification. Countries included in the European Union Southern African Development Community Economic Partnership Agreement include Botswana, Lesotho, South Africa, Mozambique, and Namibia.
The EU-SADC EPA agreement was signed on 10th of June 2016, and it is a very, very important agreement. Of course, the key goal will be to establish a free trade area between European Union and SADC. And this means that it provides free access to European markets of products from Namibia and SADC. And on the other side, then there will be more time, 15 years before the European products can enter here, to protect some sensitive products from the region. In some cases, even as long as 25 years protection here. And Namibia especially has been benefiting from this agreement already, especially your beef and grape exports to Europe, which is very important for Namibia. And what is also important is that we have provided 6 million euro to support Namibia in what we call EPA implementation plan. And this is a program that will start now, and it provides capacity building, it can support value addition, it can support SME development, exactly the things that are needed here to build the economic growth.
The EU delegation to Namibia and its member states are also actively working to enhance governance of the community-based natural resource management, or CBNRM sector. This area has been supported by the EU for over a decade in previous interventions, and continues, as can be seen with the approval and launch of 2 grants to organizations working to improve governance in Namibia's community-based natural resource management sector. This is part of a bilateral cooperation program called Enhancing Participatory Democracy in Namibia. The first grant of €798,000 was awarded to a consortium consisting of the Namibia Nature Foundation, Namibia Development Trust, and Integrated Rural Development and Nature Conservation, that will focus on improving equitable benefit distribution through enhanced accountability of management structures and active community inclusion in decision-making. The second grant of €436,817.70 was awarded to Nai Development Foundation of Namibia to improve the management leadership, community participation and visibility of the most marginalized and vulnerable indigenous sand conservancies, namely the Nai and Ngajana. The European Union also provides €4 million in support of fighting climate change under the Global Climate Change Alliance, support on coordination and implementation of the Nationally Determined Contributions, or NDC, for Namibia. This program intends to complement the European Development Framework and existing partnerships by supporting Namibia's efforts to implement its nationally determined contribution made under the Paris Agreement.
We support Namibia to achieve its intended nationally determined contributions in the context of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. This is a new program we are starting now. Then, still about COVID-19. And this is important part of the green thinking. We believe strongly in European Union that in our response to COVID-19, we have to also work to achieve Agenda 2030, to work for the goals of biodiversity and the Paris Agreement on climate change. This is because we want to build back better. EU Green Deals is a set of policy directions by the European Commission with the aim of making Europe climate neutral by year 2050. So we have very, very ambitious internal policies and guidelines to work against or do the mitigation of climate change, and we do support our partner countries in a similar way.
Human rights and democracy is another important area of EU collaboration. The EU has been involved in several projects, such as Survivors Speak Up, that addresses gender-based violence. For this project, the EU collaborated with the Friedrich Ebert Stiftung, and it was implemented by the Regain Trust, involving providing counseling and support to safe houses to those coming out of abusive relationships. Another new project in this cluster is Love with Respect and Discipline with Care, outreach on gender-based violence, alternatives to corporal punishment, and the Child Care and Protection Act. This project is implemented by the Legal Assistance Centre with an amount of 4.2 million Namibian dollars. The Child Care and Protection Act was enacted on the 30th of January 2019 and has a number of provisions to protect children from violence and prohibitions on corporal punishment to help teach children non-violent ways of dealing with problems.
Gender-based violence is unfortunately still a very, very serious problem in Namibia. We have not seen the decline of cases, unfortunately. And gender-based violence is a criminal, brutal way of discrimination and violation of the basic human rights of women and women's rights. And this is something we are working closely with the Namibian government, with civil society, and supporting Namibian efforts to find GBV, as we say it.
Under this cluster, the Enhancing Participatory Democracy in Namibia, EPDN, amounted to €6 million. The objective of this engagement is to enhance participatory democracy in Namibia. The purpose is to strengthen the collaboration and coordination between civil society organizations, government and parliament in the implementation and oversight of public policies and programs. And now moving on to culture. Collaboration in culture is important for the EU, which supports cultural and creative sectors, as this collaboration promotes better understanding amongst people with different cultures. The EU adopted the motto "Unity in Diversity", and support is aimed to protect and affirm practices representative of local diversity. Examples of projects involving cooperation with member states include the European Film Festival, which saw all member states participating and was well received by the public.
We have the motto "Unity in Diversity". We are a good example of with 27 member countries with different regional, local cultures, and we are united. We are also supporting this strengthening of cultural identity here in Namibia. We work with the government, and we work with civil society, and we work with the universities. We supported and hosted the European Film Festival successfully last year together with the member states, and this year we will have a Euro music festival hosted together with the member states. And of course, our European Union and what we call Team Europe response to COVID-19 we have done in close cooperation with the member states. We provided Namibia 8.4 million euro additional budget support to strengthen Namibian health sector and mitigate the effects, negative effects of COVID to the population. And also lastly, the ECHO, which is the humanitarian arm of the European Union, provided 2 million additional 2 million euro of support to food security and population suffered from drought, and this support will be channeled via United Nations, the World Food Programme.
Support to museum development, an example of which is a mobile exhibition and catalogue produced by the Museums Association of Namibia in collaboration with the Namibian San Council to celebrate one of the country's most marginalized communities, the San people. The exhibition is part of a $7.7 Namibian project titled Museum Development as a Tool for Strengthening Cultural Rights in Namibia. The Goethe Institute and University of Namibia also signed a €200,000 project agreement with the EU for the Museum Outreach Programme, which aims to protect and promote the cultural rights of the minority and indigenous people of Namibia. A teaching museum will be established at University of Namibia as part of this project, to equip students with relevant skills and apply the use of technology through the creation of an augmented reality application. This program will involve engagement with civil society, in particular the San, Damara, Nama and Ovahimba communities, through workshops and other means to train them the preservation and management of their cultural heritage.
For example, we have been supporting the project with the Namibia University of Science and Technology on a program called Revitalizing of Indigenous Languages to Preserve Culture. And we have other projects on museum development as a tool for strengthening cultural rights in Namibia, and that project includes establishing of new museums, having mobile exhibitions of articles of important cultural heritage for Namibia, yes, and also catalogues of important different local cultures. And we continue to support the cultural heritage of Namibia here.
Relations are moving away from traditional grant aid towards more emphasis on economic cooperation and partnership. The current Cotonou Partnership Agreement, of which Namibia is a signatory, between the ACP countries in Africa, the Caribbean and Pacific and the EU, was signed in 2000 for a period of 20 years. This agreement expired in February 2020, but has been extended until December. Discussions are underway to reach a post-Cotonou agreement that will contribute to the attainment of the 2030 Agenda and Sustainable Development Goals through a strengthened and deepened political and economic partnership with the ACP Group as a more effective global player. In Namibia, the European Union delegation will remain a committed and supportive partner.
European Union is a long-term partner for Namibia, and we will stay as Namibia's partner in supporting Namibia for sustainable development goals according to Namibian development plans and SADC regional plans here. At the same time, we also want to have more business partnerships between the European and Namibian businesses, and we want to have more investments by European development finance institutions here. And Also, very importantly, we want to strengthen our political partnership with Namibia so that we can work more closely in multilateral fora in the issues of joint interest, for instance, climate change or women's rights.
The delegation of the European Union to Namibia and its member states remains committed as aid, trade and development partners. For better or worse, the EU's unwavering support in times of prosperity and crisis is to be commended as Namibia moves forward towards achieving her goals of peace, security, stability and prosperity for all her citizens.
Together we are stronger!